April 1917, the United States officially enters World War I, declaring war on Germany. Months later, they do the same to Austria-Hungary, but one major central power was left out: the Ottoman Empire. Why? Was it just an oversight? Not even close. It was a calculated move, one that involved secret diplomacy, oil ambitions, and a genocide that America didn't want to disrupt. This is the untold story of why the U.S. never officially went to war with the Ottoman Empire. When the United States joined the war in 1917, it wasn't about saving Europe or democracy. It was about one thing: stopping Germany. For years, German U-boats had been sinking American and Allied ships across the Atlantic. American lives and goods were being lost. And then came the final straw: the Zimmermann telegram, Germany's secret offer to Mexico. Join the Central Powers and you can reclaim Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. Public outrage exploded. President Woodrow Wilson, who had campaigned for peace, asked Congress to declare war on Germany. Congress agreed, and soon after, the U.S. declared war on Germany's closest ally, Austria-Hungary. But the Ottomans? No war declaration, no mobilization against them. And that's strange, because the Ottoman Empire wasn't just sitting on the sidelines. They were a major player. They controlled vast lands across the Middle East. They blocked Russia's critical supply routes through the Dardanelles and Black Sea. And they fought bloody battles like Gallipoli, causing tens of thousands of deaths. By every measure, they were central to the conflict. So why did the U.S. hold back? Let's break it down. There were three major reasons the U.S. stayed out. First, no direct threat. Germany was targeting American ships. Germany was actively sabotaging U.S. interests. The Ottomans? Not so much. Their navy mostly stayed within the Mediterranean, focusing on local conflicts. There were no Ottoman submarines stalking the Atlantic, no Ottoman agents plotting against the U.S. Without a direct attack or clear threat, the American public didn't feel the same outrage. And in a democracy, public opinion matters. No anger, no pressure for war. Second, the Armenian genocide. Between 1915 and 1917, the Ottoman Empire carried out the systematic killing of over 1 million Armenians. Mass deportations, massacres, starvation. It was a humanitarian catastrophe. And the U.S. knew. American diplomats, missionaries, and journalists reported the horrors. President Wilson even authorized massive relief efforts through organizations like Near East Relief to aid Armenian survivors. But here's the dilemma. Declaring war would have meant cutting off those humanitarian efforts. American aid workers would have been expelled. Survivors might have been abandoned. And politically, declaring war on the Ottomans could have made it seem like the U.S. was entering the conflict out of revenge for the Armenians, not as a neutral defender of democracy. Wilson didn't want to muddy the waters. He wanted the U.S. to be seen as entering the war for noble reasons, not getting entangled in ancient ethnic conflicts or vendettas. Third, oil and empire building. Behind the scenes, Britain and France had already decided how to divide up Ottoman territories once the war was over. This secret deal, the Sykes-Picot Agreement, carved up the Middle East into British and French zones of control. Iraq, Syria, Palestine. These weren't just exotic places on a map. They were critical for imperial ambitions. And guess what was hiding under Mesopotamia? Oil. Vast untapped reserves of it. American companies like Standard Oil were already eyeing the region. There was no urgent need for the U.S. to go to war, topple the Ottoman government, or risk American lives. Why fight when you could sit back, let Britain and France do the dirty work, and then negotiate for business deals later? Strategically, it made more sense to stay neutral with the Ottomans and cash in when the dust settled. And that's exactly what happened. By 1918, the Ottoman Empire was crumbling. The Arab Revolt, backed by Britain and led by figures like Lawrence of Arabia, had torn the empire apart from within. Baghdad fell, Jerusalem fell, Constantinople was on the brink. The Ottomans signed an armistice in October 1918. The U.S. had never fired a shot against them. Yet at the post-war negotiations, America still showed up at the table, ready to shape the future of the Middle East and secure lucrative oil contracts without bearing the costs of war. It was, frankly, a masterclass in behind-the-scenes diplomacy. So to summarize, no direct attacks meant no reason to rally the American public. The Armenian genocide complicated humanitarian efforts and political messaging. And oil ambitions made patience more profitable than conflict. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an oversight. It was a strategic choice. But here's the crazy part. What if the U.S. had declared war? Would American forces have occupied Ottoman territories alongside Britain and France? Would the Middle East have been divided differently? Would the U.S. have inherited direct control over places like Iraq or Syria? Maybe the modern map of the Middle East and all the conflicts that came with it would look very, very different today. What do you think? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into the hidden history of World War I, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. There's a lot more to uncover.